Hi, my name is Brooke Depew, and today I'll be guiding you through how to set up your LinkedIn profile and all the unique features that LinkedIn has to offer job seekers. Let's start off with a video.
If you're watching this, chances are good you want to get a job. You want to go from student to rising star, and you want to avoid eating the same meal over and over and over again. Good news, you're in the right place. That's right, LinkedIn. It's not just for top executives. It's not just for old people with heavy briefcases. It's for you, and it's the perfect place for you to start your professional story. Say you want to get a job in New York City. You've never been there before, but that's okay because you have LinkedIn on your side. You start by creating your profile. You give it love because you know it's what recruiters are looking for day and night. It's your resume that never sleeps. It's your flashing neon sign that says, hire me, for the love of all that is good in this world, hire me. Then you start making connections. Alumni working in New York? Yes. Recruiters at top companies in New York? Yes. Your mom's best friend? Yes. You start imagining whose shoes you want to walk in. You think, wow, this is a lot of deep stuff to consider. You shake yourself out of it and start searching for jobs. Whoa, that's a lot of jobs for students. Time to get down to business. You start to tailor your profile. You start applying. You feel empowered, in control, like you should be CEO. That gives you an idea. You look up all the CEOs of all the companies you want to work at. You see one of them went to your university. Then it hits you. You see a clear path from campus to career. You feel like you can see the future. You wonder if you're psychic. Should you start a hotline? No, back to plan A. You keep tailoring and connecting and applying, and before you know it, you start getting responses. First a few, then more, then an interview, and then you're hired. And that's when the real learning begins.
Awesome. So whenever you start completing your profile, if you have never made a profile before, this is the system that it'll look like when you begin. So there'll be a timeline here about completing your profile with different steps in it. And so if you don't complete everything in one sitting, it's okay. So like say you leave off right here on this third bar. It's going to tell you that you've done these three things, but you still need to add your education, your photo, your skills, and your summary. So it's okay to not have to dedicate a full hour to sit down and create your profile, but do it in consumable chunks. So whatever is best for you. And whenever you've completed everything, it'll give you this message right here that you are now an all-star and you have completed all of your profile settings. So something to think about is who you need to connect with whenever you are on LinkedIn. It's a lot different than other social media sites. It's very much professional and connecting with everyone who might help you along the way in your journey. So it's important to connect with all of your classmates, coworkers that you might have, even as a student worker or a part-time worker, professional organizations, if you're in human resources, SHRM, any organizations that you might volunteer with, recruiters from companies that you're interested in finding employment at, and alumni from the college that you go to, so alumni from here at WT, any professors that you might have, like the professor that possibly gave you this assignment, and any current or previous employers. It's very important that even if you know them slightly or adjacently, if they can speak to who you are as a professional, to get online and connect with them. Even me as a career service professional, if I had a meeting with you, it'd be good for us to connect because I can talk about your resume, talk about what you're seeking, what you are looking for in a career. So a lot of people use LinkedIn. 414 million professionals are on LinkedIn, and people are joining at 2 new people a second. And so it's a very, very popular site for finding jobs. And as you can see here, people from all over the world are on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for a job not just in America, looking to study abroad afterwards, or looking to return to your home country, LinkedIn is definitely a good resource to use for that. So a lot of recruiters use LinkedIn. Nearly 93% of recruiters are using it to recruit people because so many applications are coming in. LinkedIn, we'll talk about multiple times throughout this workshop, is a database that can help them sort through people at a faster realm than actually just doing it yourself. So make sure that you do have a profile. And so this is kind of the connection rings within inside LinkedIn. So this first ring right here are people that you actually know. So your classmate or your professor. And then the second ring here is something more in depth. It's about networking. It's that connection. So it would be, you know your professor and your professor knows me, but I don't know you. So your professor can bridge the gap and introduce us and possibly make a connection for us to find a common ground in case you were saying you wanted a job from me. And then this third ring is kind of a bit of a stretch for me, but it would be like, you know your professor, and your professor knows me, and I know someone at another company that you might want a job with. So your professor would introduce you to me, and I would introduce you to this other person. It's a bit more of a stretch, a bit harder to navigate, but it is still possible. And so if you don't connect with everyone you know in this inner circle, it'll help prevent you from seeing these further connections that could really benefit from you. A good story that I have here is I had a student walk in for a resume review, and he wanted to get a job in baseball. And I knew him from our resume review, and he was trying to find a job. So this right here, our connection would have been us. And the second connection would be that I have a friend who actually interned with the Rangers during her time in college and went on to work for a minor league baseball team in Nebraska. And so I actually reached out to her through LinkedIn and told her that I had a student that was interested and asked her pathway for how she would suggest him going about finding a job in that field. And she actually offered him an interview. And so that was a really unique connection that came through LinkedIn that I wouldn't have known about otherwise, because I wasn't sure if she was still working in the baseball field. So it is important to connect with as many people as you can. That person I actually hadn't talked to in about 4 years. And so LinkedIn definitely provided that connection, provided that bridge, and let me know her employment history to see that she would still be helpful and have great advice in that field. So definitely connect with as many people as you can. Even when you don't talk to them 4 years from now, it might be helpful, and you never know what bridges it may form for you. So we're going to talk a lot about throughout this the difference between your virtual LinkedIn profile and your paper resume. There are a lot of differences. Your paper resume should only be 1 to 2 pages and not have your picture on it, versus your LinkedIn, you can have tons of content in there and it definitely has your photo on it. And so there's a lot of differences, a lot of ways to expand things on your LinkedIn profile that you can't expand on your resume. And so I always encourage people that at the top of your paper resume to have your phone number, your email address, the city that you are currently living in, and instead of your full address, put your LinkedIn URL. So if someone wants to know more about what you're doing, they can go and type that in and actually look at your full expansive LinkedIn profile to see more about you. So this is the different sections on building your LinkedIn profile. We'll cover each of these individually. So just kind of giving you an outline here, but also something to make sure you do is to actually complete your LinkedIn profile. If you have a complete LinkedIn profile, you're 40 times more likely to receive an opportunity through LinkedIn. So it's really vital that you actually fill out each of these sections and take the time to do that. Remember, you don't have to do them all in one sitting, but it is important to make sure that you do it. So the first section is your photo, your headline, and your contact information. So this is kind of an example right here. Make sure that you list your full name and your location, because often recruiters filter by the location that you currently live in. Make sure your profile is professional looking headshot. In Career Services, we actually do offer this service. It's on first Fridays of the month. We have a background, a black one and a white one, and then we have a big beauty ring and a camera that we can take your photo with for you. If you're needing an updated headshot or you don't actually have a headshot, we're happy to help you with that. If you can't wait till the first Friday of the month, please contact our office, 806-651-2345, and we will help you set up a time to have that sooner. Also the title of your current job. And if you don't currently have a job, it's okay to put current student or university student as something for the information, as something for people to be able to see that you are looking for a job right now and that you're currently a full-time student. And your contact information. So contact information is really important. The default is that it only puts on there your link for the profile. And so it's pretty important that you go out there and make sure you put your actual personal information. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. This is my actual LinkedIn profile page. And so you would go out here and you would hit contact info in the blue button. And make sure that you put your phone number, your email, you can put a social media account, but originally it defaults just to this, your profile link. And so whenever you are looking for a job, you might not be checking your LinkedIn every day. So you might miss a message from an employer. So it's really good to make sure you put your phone number and your email address that you check every day so you don't miss an opportunity and you're not late on replying to them. All right, so the summary. This is a really important thing because it's your first chance to capture the employer. So it grabs their attention, it tells them about you. So something that I always like to say is, list what you're currently studying, and where you're going and what you aspire to be. And so a lot of what LinkedIn does is it's a big database, like we talked about earlier. So it searches your entire profile and it's looking for keywords that fit the job. And so your summary is a great place to put keywords that you haven't had in a job world yet, but skills that you possess. So say that I have never been a nurse, but I've gone through clinicals and seen a lot of things, and I've gone through a lot of training in my coursework. And so I aspire to be a nurse, and that's what employment I am seeking. And I might put some things in there that I've done through my observations or through my clinical hours as keywords to help the computer pick it up, because those are skills that I do have, but I can't put a job down there that says that I was a nurse employed at X hospital. But I have all those skills, I've received the training, and I'm seeking the opportunity. So that's a really important place to put that. This is also a place to put any accomplishments that you have and any of your strengths. If you're a Strengths Quest person, this is a unique place to put your strengths or any other type of aptitude test that the company you're looking for might have in their culture. That's a really unique thing to do. So the next section is your experience section, so the work that you do. On your resume, again, you can only have it be 1 to 2 pages, and so the bullet points that you put under each experience on your resume is pretty limited, but on your LinkedIn account, there is no limitation. You can see over here that this little C description thing has an arrow. And so when you click out that arrow, this is my entire job description for my job at Career Services. That's a lot. I would never put that much on my resume because it's not consumable to someone on a resume. But in LinkedIn, I am feeding the database. I'm telling it as much as I can about my job. And then when the person comes to actually read it, there are these consumable sections for them to read. Also, another thing that is really amazing about LinkedIn is this media area down here. You can actually list examples, work that you have produced in each job, which is really, really valuable. And so make sure that you do that. If you have any content that you've made, any webinars, any presentations, any papers, link those up. It's extremely important to be able to showcase your work. That's something you cannot do on a resume that employers would love to see what you can do. Also, you can notice over here that it has a little link, the logo of where I work, and that's going to become important later. Remember, this is a large database, and so if you work for a smaller company that does not actually have a LinkedIn account yet, this little logo right here will not appear. As you can see over here on my past history, when I used to work for Stephenville ISD, there was originally no logo here. It didn't exist. This school didn't exist inside of LinkedIn. And then over time, they actually created their own account, and LinkedIn was smart enough to link me to this, and that icon eventually appeared. So you don't need to worry about the maintenance of going back and finding out if that small company does have a page later in the future. It will actually link it for you. So that's a very unique item that makes you have to not worry. So always go ahead and put a job down, even if that company doesn't exist in LinkedIn. It might at a later date. So your education section is next. This is where you're going to link up with your university. I'm so sorry I did not go to WT. I went to Tarleton, so please ignore that. But you're going to link up again with your institution just like you did with the employer. They should have a page. And list out all the accomplishments that you had when you were at the university. Any honors or awards, any coursework that you might have done. If you did any research, go ahead and list that out as well. But another thing that I would like to point out to you is this media right here. These are all the different types of media that you can link up with your education or your employment. And so it's a document, a photo, a link, a video, or a presentation. And so if you have done a poster project, or you had a group project that was videotaped, or a presentation that you put together that you're extremely proud of, or a really good paper on a topic that you're looking to find employment in, link it up here so the employers can see the quality of your work and what you have to say. It's extremely valuable to be able to share those documents with them, because that might be what you're producing for them in the future. And so it's a good chance to showcase your way in the job search that other people aren't. So make sure you take the time to link those things up there. So volunteering, organizations, honors, publications, this is another section. And so add any volunteer or groups that you were a part of. Again, it has that little logo where you would link up with them. Any awards that you might have gotten, Dean's List, presidents, scholarships, things like that. Make sure you link them up, because people can actually go out, like I'm a member of the Lions Club, they can actually go out and search to find other lions. And that's a common thing that we would have in common to talk about, volunteering in the community. And so that's a good thing to put on your resume, on your LinkedIn and your resume. But the ability to link up with that allows them to search by that. And so that's a unique way to form a connection with a candidate before you're ever in the interview. So go ahead and link those things up, tell a little bit about them, and any officer positions that you may have held there as well. So the next section is skills and recommendations. And this part I think is a pretty cool section. So over here, people can actually endorse you for different skills that you may have had. So if they worked with you on a team project, they might have seen that you had great leadership or great teamwork skills. And so you can endorse one another as classmates or as coworkers to say that this person is really good at X. And it shows up here as a keyword that you're really good at. But the one thing that I think is most important on here is this recommendation section. And so you can actually go out and receive recommendations, and people can view what other people say about you, and you can give recommendations to people, and it shows it on your profile. And I think that is super important. As someone in the job search, you can't often control what happens to you in the job search. It's very much you put a lot out of there and you're not sure what you're going to get back. But giving other people recommendations is one thing you can control in your job search. And so by going out there and writing things about people where it can be showcased on your profile is really important. If I were trying to hire somebody and I was down between two people and I saw that this person constantly encourages their teammates and says a lot of great things about them, and this person, I didn't see that about them, I want the person on my team that's going to encourage others around them and take the time to invest in their coworkers. That's extremely valuable. It shows how positive that person is. It shows that they value the team that they're on. And I would really rather have that person on my team just knowing that about them. And oftentimes when you do give someone a recommendation, they might be more likely to give you one back. And so you might get more down here on received recommendations. But giving a recommendation is something you can control, and it's something that will positively impact you on your job search. So take the time to go give reviews to your classmates or to your co-workers that you might have, or your professors. You know, if you give a recommendation to your professor or your manager, it's probably going to reflect well when you're in the job search to the manager trying to hire you. It shows that you respect those above you and what you think about your leaders. So take the time to do that. It's extremely valuable, not only for your own job search, but for that person's future job search as well. And so you're paying it forward. So make sure that you go out and take the time to review people and give them recommendations. So another thing after you build your entire profile, we always tell people in career services that you should have one master resume with everything you've ever done in it, and then pull from that master resume for each individual job to customize your resume for what that job is seeking, because your real resume can only be 1 to 2 pages, but this master document of everything you've ever done is probably very, very long. And so I would encourage you to keep your LinkedIn pretty much like your master document. And you can actually export your LinkedIn profile into a resume and then edit it. So you would go up here to this More and hit this Build a Resume button. And after you do that, it exports your resume like this and actually gives you little areas where you can edit it. So I would probably really edit down my summary if I was exporting this to a Word document. I can actually go in here and export it and then export it to a PDF. So it's good to keep as much as you've ever done in there because you're probably not going to remember everything you do when it comes time. But if you're trying to transition fields, then it might be really important that little small project that you did that you didn't really remember about, that you used a lot of creativity in Photoshop if you're trying to transfer to a more media-related job from, more of a data-heavy job. And so it's really important to remember those things and then edit them out to customize your resume and tailor it toward the different type of job than what you're doing. This is also important if you're keeping in the same field to have that master document and then edit it down into a very targeted resume. So this resume export from LinkedIn is an important feature that you could use to store all of your stuff in one area and customize it along the way. And so also if you click on each individual area, like the summary, it's going to give me tips on how I should write this. And so career highlights, keep 3 to 4 bullet points, different types of verbs. So it has tips along the way in case you get stuck or you want to make sure that you find that next level type of resume. So it's a unique tool that LinkedIn has to offer. So the next page, this is my absolute favorite part of LinkedIn. It's called the University page. And we talked a lot about in the past how this is a database. It houses everything. So we're going to go back out to the live LinkedIn site. And so come up to the search bar and you're going to search whatever university you were at, so West Texas A&M. And so find the one that has the school at the end. So this is the official page of West Texas A&M University School. And when you're here, you're going to come over to this little alumni tag right here. So click on this alumni tag. And then this is my favorite part. So everyone has to enter where they went to school in their profile and what their current job is. And it creates this really unique database to help you in your research figuring out what job you should apply for. So a lot of us want to move after graduation, right? We don't necessarily want to stay planted where we went to college. And so this is a very cool thing. Say, like right now we're all in Amarillo. Say you want to move to Dallas-Fort Worth. Click on that, and it's going to refilter all the results to only alumni in Dallas and Fort Worth. And so here I can see where they work, but that doesn't necessarily interest me at this point, right? So I'm going to hit next. And what I really want to see is what they studied. Who had my major? What can I do with my major in Dallas and Fort Worth? So I'm going to filter by accounting. So now it's refiltered all of the data to just show me accounting alumni that work in Dallas and Fort Worth. And so now I can see here all these different companies that hire WT accounting graduates. So I'm going to click on Raytheon as my company. And now I'm only looking at graduates from DFW that were accounting majors who work at Raytheon. And I scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to see who those two graduates are. So I'm going to look at Mandy's profile. And when I pull up Mandy's profile, it's going to show me her job history. And so I can see that she's recently started working at Raytheon. Well, not recently, 11 years ago. She's been there for quite some time. And I can actually see how she describes her job right here. And so while her description is not terribly long, I can still possibly pick up some keywords like Windows, RHEL, all these different softwares right here to know some things about the company. And top secret clearance, that sounds pretty interesting to me actually. And so I can pick up some jargon here that might help me in building my profile. Because if I need to know that these are the types of systems that they use right here, it might be important for me to see if I know those or to see how I can learn those if I'm really dedicated to working for this company in this system. And so there's some interesting things here that I can get, but I can also see her entire work history path as she grew up from WT. I can see where she started right after graduation and how she climbed to where she is now to give me an idea of maybe some starter level jobs that I might want to look at. And so it's really important to do this system. It's a great research tool, especially if you're moving to a new area and you don't necessarily know what companies are in that area. I know that I moved to Amarillo from San Antonio, and I had no idea what was in Amarillo when I actually was applying for jobs. I didn't know where to start to find jobs, and LinkedIn definitely helped me figure out what companies were in Amarillo. So another thing, you can actually do this too for a company. And so if I was going to look for a company in, let's say I'm going to look at Amazon as a company. So it's got a little company after it. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to come over here to their people button. And I can do the same search here as well. So if you don't really care about hiring a certain type of alumni, you can go straight to the company that you know you want to work for and say, I want to work in the United States, obviously, unless you want to go overseas, which is totally great. Or maybe I specifically want to look at San Francisco. And then I want to, let's see here. Let's say that this time I'm in a marketing major. And so it's going to refilter some things here. Okay, so I'm looking at marketing majors in San Francisco. And so I can see them all down here. Look, I share 3 connections with her. So that's pretty interesting right here, 4 connections with this person. So if I were to click on her, just to let you know how this privacy setting works, it's not like most social media sites where you can look at anyone and they don't really know. It's very different on LinkedIn. Basically, what you give is what you get. And so I'm going to show you my privacy settings so you can kind of understand what it looks like whenever you click on somebody's profile. Okay, so under your profile viewing options, these are the 3 different levels of privacy that you have. So right now, everyone's profile that I clicked on during this webinar, they're going to get an email that says, Brooke Depew from West Texas A&M University looked at your profile. And so if I am in a job and I'm not actively looking for a job, and I should probably not have this as my setting, because it might get around to my boss that I'm looking for a job, or that I've been looking at people's profiles, looking at different companies, because whenever you're in a field, that field is actually pretty small, and a lot of people talk because they all know each other in the same field. So this is not the one that you should have if you are actively involved in a job. But if you're a new grad, this is perfect. And whenever you're about to go into the interview, I would turn this setting on and look at every single person in that department at the company that you can find, because they need to know that you're preparing for your interview, that you're doing active research, and this is a great way to do that. And so make sure you turn that on. It shows that you really care about that team, that you care about that interview, and that you're getting prepared. This one right here is kind of the middle ground, an educator at West Texas A&M University. They don't know exactly who it is, but they know that somebody at WT was looking. And here, this is an anonymous LinkedIn member, so no idea. But one thing to keep on here is you get what you give. And so if I have this anonymous LinkedIn member right here, that's what it's going to tell me anytime anyone looks at my profile. I'm going to have no information about who looked at my profile. And so if I am looking for a job, it might be really helpful to have this one turned on and know exactly who looked at me. Did the person who I just interviewed with look at my profile? Or maybe I applied for a job and I haven't heard if I got an interview yet. It'd be super powerful to see that they were looking at my resume during the job search and looked at the link that was on the top of my resume to look at my profile. That might help me know what's happening in the job search, because the job search process can be so long and so uncertain. That could help give you a sense of timeline, a sense of surety. And so it's a good thing to turn it on, and you can switch back and forth throughout it to know, like, if someone's seen you, if so you don't want people to know. So just keep this privacy setting in mind whenever you are looking for a job. All right, so now we're going to actually look at applying for the job inside of LinkedIn. So you're going to go to this little jobs module right here. And so you can search, it's loading. So whenever you go to this jobs module, you can search for a certain type of job. Say I want to be a software engineer, and I don't really care where, and so it's going to look everywhere. And so know that you can actually set up a job alert. And so if you set this up, you can receive notifications daily for software engineers, and you can get an email notification, or you can get a notification in the app, either one. So you can do daily or weekly here. And then save it, and it'll send you pushes on those. So another thing that you should think about here is people can get those pushes daily, right? And so if their profile is up to par, they can apply for things rapidly. So if you look at this software engineer one, you can see here that it was posted 1 week ago, and 1,800 people have already looked at this job, and 900 people have already applied to this job. So this is extremely competitive right here, and they can close this job at any time. So if you don't get in right away, and you might not get to be able to apply for this job, there's no certain amount of time that they have to keep it open. But say this software engineering one here, it's had 80 views and 14 people applied. So it's a lot smaller. So just keep in mind that some jobs out there might go really, really fast, especially if they're larger, well-known companies. And so you can see the difference between these two jobs here. This one just has an apply button. So you're going to apply through their normal site with a normal resume and everything like that. But this one, the software engineer position down here, from NetApp, has an easy LinkedIn apply. And so when you click this button, your LinkedIn profile is actually your application. So it's really important that you have everything on there applied for your resume when you apply with this easy app, because it's going off of your profile. Another thing that some jobs have is at the very bottom, they have these blue skills, and so they're checking things here. Basically, these are the top criteria that this job is looking for. And it actually scanned my LinkedIn profile and said that I only meet 2 of these things right here, a master's degree and leadership skills. And so that's discouraging. Like, I definitely shouldn't apply for this job. But one thing that I can note here is that I definitely have problem-solving skills, but it didn't pick up that I had that for my LinkedIn profile. So there's some things that I should probably go back and change to show that I have problem-solving skills that it's not picking up on. And so this is when we looked at earlier someone's profile who looks at the company, and we looked for that jargon, specific things for the industry. that's a great research tool to see that, like, web-based software development, I might have not have called it that on my profile, and I might have it, but I might just be using the wrong words. And so that's why it's really important to search other people's profiles to make sure you're checking these boxes. Because I can tell you right now that, like, I'm not getting through to a human, the fact that I only checked 2 boxes here. And so it's really important that you make sure you check enough boxes. And so not every job actually has those little blue dots at the bottom. Those 2 do, but a lot of them don't have that. And so if you're struggling finding a job, and it's been a few months, I would encourage you to try LinkedIn Premium just for 1 month, because it actually shows you how you compare against the other applicants that applied for the job. So these 14 people right here that applied for the job, I can see how I rank against them. I can see where I'm falling short, where I might need to improve, and where I'm just underselling myself. And so it's really important to do that if you are struggling. I don't always encourage people to pay or do the free 1 month, just because there are so many things that LinkedIn can do for you with the free version. I can hunt around enough jobs and figure out how to increase this right here for me, without actually going out and paying for LinkedIn Premium. So make sure you keep that in mind. Another thing that you can see on the jobs right here is this is the recruiter, Leah, and I can actually send her a message via LinkedIn Premium, but if you don't pay for that, that's okay. You can actually go to her profile and look at her, and it'll notify her. If all of your settings are open, you can actually see, she'll know that you're doing research, and so she's somebody that I would know to look at. And if there were alumni, like right here it says, one person from the company that I work at, it works here. So after I click on this job, I can see that 26 alumni from my university and 1 person from my company work here. So I can click on this and actually see who those people are to know who to reach out to. And so I might know some of these people. And so that would be pretty cool to reach out to them and hear what the company culture is like, if they're involved in the hiring process, who they might know that I should reach out to individually. So it's all about who you know and doing your research. And LinkedIn offers a lot of different possibilities to do that research. So another tool inside of LinkedIn, a unique tool, is over here in these little 9 boxes. And so LinkedIn Salary right here is a really unique tool to help you do your research whenever you get into that salary negotiation section. And so you can type in a job title here. Data analyst. And so right here is going to tell me the range that that person makes and the base salary, but it's also really, really important to add your location, because cost of living is a great thing. I mean, it varies your price in a large amount. We're in Amarillo right now, and the cost of living here is about 84%. And the cost of living in Dallas is about 107%. A huge difference in what you should expect on making, and what that cost of living will look like. When I moved here from San Antonio, I thought I took a pay cut, but actually my cost of living was just greatly decreasing. So it's important to make sure that you know what the cost of living in each area that you're applying to is, because it'll definitely change the amount of salary offer that you're getting. And you need to make sure that you're super educated whenever you walk in to have that conversation for negotiation. This is one place that you can get educated. Glassdoor is another place that you can get educated. And on our Career Services website is actually another place that you can get educated. So if you go to just the general WT webpage, and then go to this university links and drop down to Career Services and hit go. You'll then come to our page and make sure you go to this Post-Graduation Success button. So in Career Services, we actually track all of our graduates to make sure that they got jobs and they're getting paid. And if not, that we are here to help you. So even after graduation, our services are free for life. And so that's a big deal. So don't forget about us whenever you're wanting to switch industries or need help in the future. So I would encourage you to click this direct link, just because inside of the web page, it's a little slow. So click the direct link. And then after it loads, you can actually go in and filter by degree type, college, department, specific major that you're interested in. And this is even a good research tool if you're looking to go on for a graduate degree. And so here you can see that some of these aren't checked. And so these are ones that graduate less than 5 in a year. And so if your major is someone who graduates someone less than 5 in a year, come to us. We have this data. It's just not public because we don't want anything to possibly be identifiable. Everything here is non-identifiable. And so if you refilter something, it's going to change this whole chart for you here. And you can see, the outcomes, full-time, part-time, all of that. But this part down here is you're going to be able to see the average that someone is making in each industry. And so that's really helpful. But then also the average for a WT student, the median, the national, so you can see how you compare nationally. And then these two bottom bars are adjusted for staying in the panhandle, the cost of living. So what you should expect if you are receiving an offer in the panhandle. And then just another research tool for you over here, you can see who is hiring our WT grads to know what companies you should be looking for. So this is just another resource for you when it comes to trying and figuring out salary and having that hard conversation whenever you're in the job process. All right, so back to this page right here. So the Pro Finder is something that I would encourage that if you're trying to get into the gig economy and just be your own boss and create a lot of different side jobs, Pro Finders may be something that you should look at. It's a different element inside of LinkedIn that's really unique. And so you would basically set up your own profile. If you do professional headshots or photography, if you do LinkedIn profile reviews or resume reviews, social media marketing, if you create graphics, you can basically create a profile in here and someone would go on and say, I need blank service. I need headshots, and I want it here and I want it during this time, or tax consulting, or, coach, PR, any type of things like that. And they request it. And you, as the pro, go in and bid on what your projects you're interested in and say how much money you're willing to charge for that. And then the person picks the best bid to them. So I actually did this when I was working on my graduate work. I needed someone to edit my dissertation. And so I went and put a bid out there and got feedback from people all over the country that were willing to edit my dissertation and their different quotes. And so it's a very interesting site if you're in the gig economy and you want to have your own small business or even a side business compared to your 8-to-5 job. It's an interesting part of LinkedIn for that. So don't forget about this whenever you're needing a little extra cash or you want to start your own business. LinkedIn does have a spot for you. All right, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. From the university page, career insights, job search, salaries. So this chart right here I really enjoy because it shows you all the different things that LinkedIn does. So this little LinkedIn app right here, this is what we've been in. This is create your profile, find your jobs, all of those things. This LinkedIn job search one has a funny story behind it. This is the app for LinkedIn job search. And way back in the day, if you remember, Facebook used to everything that you did. It'd be like Julie liked Jim's photo, Julie looked at Blank's profile. It has a constant feed of everything you did. LinkedIn used to be like that too. It used to say that Brenda looked at a job at BSA, Brenda looked at a job over here, Brenda applied for a job. And that's awful if you're looking for a job. You might get fired. And so they created this app to keep everything private. And so now LinkedIn has obviously moved away from that. It doesn't report all of your habits and doings. And so it's just a better profile to look for jobs in the app on your phone. And then LinkedIn Recruiter, if you ever do become a recruiter, this one is specifically for recruiting through LinkedIn. This Sales Navigator, this LinkedIn Lookup one right here, if you're at a conference, instead of handing out business cards, you can actually open this and connect with everyone around you in LinkedIn. It's going paperless. It's not having to keep those business cards with you. LinkedIn groups, if you have things that you share interests in. This LinkedIn Students right here is specifically gained for college students, recent graduates trying to enter the career field. The two videos that you're going to see in this presentation are from this. They have a lot of resources just for new grads who may not have worked in their field that they're trying to move into. SlideShare, like if I were to put this PowerPoint out there, or if you want to learn something about a specific topic, you can go out and find presentations about it and learn more. LinkedIn Learning, this is a little bit like its version of TED Talks. And Lynda, this is basically a place to go out and learn things, educate yourself more about specific topics, maybe a short training in something you're wanting to grow in. So LinkedIn has tons of different things. It's a lot more than what you just think of when it comes to building a profile and applying for jobs. All right, here's your closing video.
Here's how to make your profile great. Number 1, pick a professional picture. Not just any picture. No, not that one. More like these. Yes, that's the one. Number 2, write a good headline. Just tell us who you are and what you want to do in 120 characters or less. Yeah, like that. Remember, nothing too personal, nothing too clever. Number 3, tell us about your education. What's your major? What classes did you take? What skills did you develop? C++? Art history? Portuguese history? Quantum thermodynamics? Yes, put those. Number 4, list your experience. Give us your organizations, your achievements, your honors. President of the International Club? Yes. Volunteered building houses? Yes. Invented a cat toy? Yeah, sure, that counts. Number 5, get recommendations. Prove you've got what it takes. Get managers, mentors, and professors to post something that says, this person is smart, hardworking, good-natured, and well-rounded, or something like that. And then you're done. You shout, this is me! You do a celebration dance. You feel good. You stand out. You know you're on your way because there are jobs to be found and recruiters looking to find you as you watch this. That's right now, this very second. What are you waiting for? Go, find, be found.
Awesome. So, a closing note, remember to always update your LinkedIn. Oftentimes, we spend one moment working really, really hard on it, and then we don't touch it for several more years. And then it's out of date. It's kind of like a spare tire. You know, you're driving along, everything's fine in your career, and then all of a sudden you're laid off, or all of a sudden you want to leave your job really bad. And so basically, you've had a blowout on the side of the road, and it takes time to change that tire. It's messy. And so make sure that you always update it along the way. You know, anytime you accomplish something new or take on a new project, add it into your profile. It just takes a few minutes, and if you're trying to do all of that at the end, you're not going to remember everything that you did, and you're going to miss something unique that you did in your job. So take time to update it. You also don't know who's looking for you. You may not actively be looking for a job, but someone might think that you're a perfect fit for their job at their company, and they might reach out to you. But if you don't have some of that information on your LinkedIn profile, you might miss out on a chance you didn't know you wanted. So make sure that you clean it up as you go along. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at bdepue@wtamu.edu, and I'd be happy to help you. Also, you can set up an appointment inside of Handshake to meet with a career specialist here at WT to work on your LinkedIn profile and help you develop it further. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope that you've learned something, and feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. Thank you.